Another GUI that can be used to define the fault geometries is this A2 enter fault MCQSim version 2 GUI. So let's have a look at this one. Just started the GUI by entering the name and pressing enter, and this GUI will show up. But here you have one box defining the information for the faults along which earthquakes will be generated, or along which these earthquake simulations will take place, and then you have another box here to the right that specifies the boundary surface if that's desired to be used. The way the faults are defined are assuming an initial rectangular fault geometry with a certain fault length and width, as well as a strike and dip angle. What's also specified for that fault is the position, the XYZ coordinates, or easting, northing, and depth of the top center position. And by that I mean, if you think of the rectangular fault trace, the rectangular fault, and consider its surface trace, essentially this top center refers to the middle point of this top trace. Here you already have values included in the GUI, so if you plot the fault setup, you would just see the outline of what I was referring to. And in that case, the top center position would be right here. So what we can do here, for example, is to just, for this particular fault, the one that is selected, change, for example, the strike angle, make it maybe 20 degrees, and just plot it again, and maybe you'll make it 40 degrees and plot again, so you can see it rotating. One thing you notice is that the color of the fault here changes between iterations, and that's just randomly assigned color. There's no meaning to this at this point. Yes. This fault itself not only has geometry, but also, as in the A1 GUI, has specified a fault ID, a slip rate, stress rate if needed or wanted, and also a slip rake angle, following the typical conventions. So you can do this for one fault, but you can also add other faults. In that case, you may say that you want to press, in this case, this add button, and another fault pops up. Values are assigned randomly at first, so you'd have to go in and change these values. For example, you can change the name of the fault to make it fault 2, and then you can specify also the different parameters here. Let's assume we want to make a step over fault. To make it easier, I want to first make this again a strike of 0 degrees, and I make the fault a little bit shorter, just to keep it simple. So 60 kilometers for this one. Let's make this one also 60 kilometer long and 15 kilometer wide, or deep for that matter. Let's also assume the strike is 0 and the dip at that case is 90 degrees. Alright, so if we just plot the fault, we can again see both of them. They're quite close because we haven't adjusted the easting, northing, and depth of that top center position. In that case, we can go in here. So this is the first fault. Second one, we could then say, okay, shift it over in the easting direction by, let's say, 3 kilometers. The center position should be maybe minus 40, and the depth we want to keep at essentially 0. Let's see how this looks. Alright, so now we have a step over that we could run simulations on. Right now this is just a setup, and we haven't meshed this yet. So as for the other GUI you have seen before, you can now mesh the geometry that we have seen here, that we see here, and we do this by using the leg size or the element size for the fault and for the boundary as specified. So actually, coming from here, this setup, you would go to meshing first, and as you mesh, You can see this turning from red to green, so we have meshed completely, and we can see that we have, in this case, roughly 8,000 elements for the fault and about 6,500 for the boundary. And this we can now mesh or plot this mesh like so. All right. So this is one way to deal with this, with these kind of simpler geometries. Another thing you can do is actually merge and shift these elements around. And by that I mean you can, for example, merge this selected fault here with this one. And for this you have this extra box here. I may make another video for this, but I will refer from this at this moment. Right. Thank you.